Yay! What's up, everybody? This is Dustin. I'm back here on Dustin's Vinyl. I just got out of prison. This is what Jeffrey said before the show started. My prison jumpsuit, which I find a lot of offense to that because I'm the only one in my family who hasn't been to prison, and I hold that as an honor. This is great to be back, guys. Very excited I hope you had a great holiday with your family, if you were able to spend time with them. If not, I hope you got you some records and cried yourself to rock and roll, because that's what we do here on the show. And yeah, I had a great Christmas. I got a lot of vinyl. Before I do the random pull, we'll do a couple of vinyls that I got. I always get, that's the thing, when people know you're into vinyl, you get a lot of vinyl for holidays and birthdays and Christmas. So it's kind of cool when you have a theme that you dig and that you're into, because people really kind of go out of their way to, get you, your passion or whatever. So I got a lot of cool stuff. I got a Jerry Lee Lewis album, which is kind of this rare album, kind of some slower, kind of his later work. This is like a really cool album. Less of the Sun Record stuff, kind of more of kind of the later 90s stuff, if you will. This is a Mercury. I believe it was 92 on that one. Very cool stuff. And then I got this, which is fun, the Blues Brothers, baby. And, a lot of times we think of the Blues Brothers, we think of just an SNL sketch, but this band and both Aykroyd and Belushi were very talented. Like it's a great, they were a great band. And, the movie is phenomenal, and the movie has phenomenal music. This is just, the record. This is not from the movie. This is kind of just I think their first record before the movie. So this is really cool. It's got a lot of, guest musicians and stuff on it, but it's fantastic. One. And then, I'm a huge fan of blues. My father-in-law, we really, we get into blues together. So he got me this, Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. This is amazing kind of Delta blues stuff that I'm always into. This is, kind of, there's some, blues guys that get overlooked. It's always B.B. King, Buddy Guy, things like that. But these are guys that are like really good. Listen, just kind of the beginning of it all. And today we're going to be talking about some people that kind of started a lot of music that people kind of like took off from. And this is kind of one of those bands in the blues genre. I ran a poll today to stay on theme, because I wanted to stay on theme today since it's Orange is the New Black. We're going to do some females in rock today. And this is my poll. This is one of my favorite bands, especially as a kid, Heart, who I think has one of the greatest rock and roll songs ever. Barracuda is on this album. There's nothing better than Ann and Nancy Wilson. This, I believe, is their third album. This is a really cool album to have. Heart is one of those bands that, like, they kind of started really heavy in the 70s, and then they kind of dropped off, and they kind of came back in the late 80s and kind of had a resurgence. But this album is great. It's got a lot of kind of that 70s rock sound. And her voice is amazing, and nobody can play like Nancy. And people talk, today we're going to talk about female guitarists and stuff. And she's one of the top, and the fact she happens to be a female. And that's kind of what kind of be the theme today. There's a lot of times people kind of write off female rock stars and stuff. But so get you some Heart. This is a cool random pull for me. I really like, I love women in rock. That's kind of one of my favorite things, is like a woman with a cool voice, and especially one that plays guitar. And so if you get a chance, Heart is an awesome, Little Queen is the one with Barracuda on it, which is everybody's favorite song. This is a great, great album. And so, very excited to be out of prison, to be back on the show, to be after the holidays. And just excited to continue my talk with rock and roll and vinyl and blues and all the stuff we do here. And happy to bring in my guest. He's a big fan of music. He's worked in the music business. He's a comedian. Everybody, Jeffrey Paul, waiting patiently. What's up, buddy?
What is up? What is up, everybody? How was your Christmas, Dustin? Good?
My Christmas was phenomenal. Yeah, it was good. I was healthy, which I think now that's the big thing. Yeah. Is that you're healthy. And so I thank the gods for that. And it was good. I spent time with the in-laws, and, was up here in Maine still. So it's a Christmas town here, man. It's like it's like a Hallmark town. So when it snows and everything, it's beautiful. So yeah, it's like living in a Hallmark movie. But so it was a perfect Christmas. It was great. We chopped down a tree. I don't know, I don't think people realize how next level Christmas this family is. We went out in the middle of the woods. We scattered out a tree. This is a huge tree, like 50 feet long.
What did you cut it down with?
No, chainsaws are not allowed. So you have to use an axe and one of those big saws. Two guys are going like this.
That's a man right there.
Yeah, because you can't use chainsaws. It's a national forest. And so you chop down a 50-foot tree, and then you got to chop it into pieces, and then you use the top as the Christmas tree. And so it's like a whole thing. You got to drag it out in the snow and put it in the truck. And so it was great. So I had a very storybook Christmas. How was your Christmas? How was it? Kids?
Christmas is great, man. Yeah. I mean, we do Christmas Eve at my house with all the fishes, and then Christmas Day we go to Brooklyn, and the whole family's there. So it was a really good time, man. It's I love Christmas time, and looking forward to New Year's and moving on from 2020, and feel very optimistic about 2021.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so. I'm trying to be like, okay, all right. I'm not going to jinx it. So,
well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, and let's talk some vinyl. Let's go back in the old.
That's the show. That's the show. Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. And we've been planning this one out a little bit, So what we're going to be talking about today is Joan Jett's classic, "I Love Rock and Roll." Came out November of 1981. Yeah, that is a great look. That is the iconic Joan Jett look, man. That is like her at her prime. This is the second album. Her second solo album, I should say, that she came out with. The first one was Bad Reputation, and then they kind of switched the band around, so it's all new members, and this album took off. And for those who might not know who Joan Jett is or her backstory, when she was young, a teenager, she was originally in a band called The Runaways. I think you kind of alluded to that a little bit at the beginning of the show, with another legendary female rocker, Lita Ford, who was also in the band, and Sherry Cherry. This was a huge album back in the day. Over 10 million copies sold. The title track was enormous. It was everywhere. And what the thing about this album is, a lot of cover songs, right?
Tons of cover songs. I almost know. I don't even know if this album counts because there were so many cover songs.
I'm glad you said that, because that was the thing that really kind of like turned me off about the album. Yeah. Going back, but then like I said, every week when we pick one of these albums, I listen to it all the time, and the more I'm listening to this album, the more fun I'm having listening to it. Yeah, I mean, I think Joan Jett, definitely The Runaways was just groundbreaking stuff. And, the fact that they tried to do an all-female band, and it was, her roots come from punk, and there was kind of this LA punk scene that was happening. And that's kind of where she came from. And then when the band broke up, it's like, she had a hard time being a solo artist. And I feel like, the album before this, it got a little bit of play. And then she had a very hard time getting signed by labels. And then she, Kenny Laguna, who is the producer that really saved everything for her. He did all this kind of, they called it bubblegum rock or whatever. It was kind of like, yummy, yummy, got tum in my tummy. It's like all these kind of like, almost like surfery type music, like surf music, and just real kind of light stuff, bubblegum stuff, they call it. And would you say this is bubblegum?
Yeah. No,
or more glam, almost glam.
I didn't say any of that. I was saying the producer, the kind of music that he produced was called bubblegum rock. I'm about to tell you. So it was like, kind of like, that was what he was into. And then when he came with her, it's kind of like this. I feel like if I were to say it, if I were to call, I would put a lot of people in this category. I would call it kind of punk, punk pop pie. I think Billy Idol is in that as well. I think there's these bands that started out kind of this raw, kind of gritty, kind of punk bands and punk singers. And then they hooked up with people that were able to make them more marketable. And I think what Kenny was able to do is kind of like tap into that kind of sound that was a little more radio friendly. And so, yeah, I would say that's what I would say. I would say it's kind of a punk pop thing going on. And I feel like a lot of people, that's how they made money in the 80s. Otherwise, I think they would have skipped that boat. They would have missed it. And, I feel like Joan Jett kind of, the collaboration, and that's quite, all the covers is like, it's tried and true stuff. And so, but that voice, I think she has one of the greatest voices in rock. Like, I love her rock voice. It's amazing. So yeah. And I got more to say, but I think as far as that, that's what I would say. It's a combination.
I think this whole album is geared towards FM rock radio. I mean, everything is short. Everything is 2-3 minutes. I think there's 1 4-minute song. And like we would talk about initially, tons of covers on this one. Even, I didn't realize it, but even the title track is a cover.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was it? The Arrows? Is that who it was?
The Arrows. It was an old doo-wop band. Do you remember the song? I think it was called Pretty Little Angel Eyes. Back in the 50s, the Arrows were the backing doo-wop group in that song.
Oh, wow.
And then they broke off on their own, which a lot of groups wound up doing. Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons, did the same thing. And this song they didn't really change anything from it. It still played in the same key. All they did was change the tempo.
Her voice changed it. And,
well, of course.
She loved this song. She did it with Sid Vicious. Like they had one recording. It was like Sid Vicious and they, kind of more of a punk sound, but then he kind of made it, more poppy. And she also, she was kind of like with Michael Jackson, Thriller, and Prince and all these people, of the time, blessed with the MTV circuit of kind of like generating the video and everything. And so I think she, was blessed by that. So because they played this video over and over and over.
But that wasn't until a little bit later. I think this album came out.
I Love Rock and Roll was a video and it came out on MTV is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I remember that. And if you look at the video now, it's like a really cheesy video,
Oh, absolutely.
But back in the day, man, like any video was amazing. But there were other covers on this as well. Like Nag was a cover from the Halos. Also, fun, catchy song. Crimson and Clover.
That was a huge hit for her too. I think that was the follow-up hit, wasn't it?
It was. It was a follow-up hit. And again, Tommy James and Shondells. I always hated this song. I like Tommy James and Shondells. They were like kind of like a pop band. And this was their psychedelic song. And do you know how it's so funny. You know how they got the title to that song? Tommy James was sleeping, and in a dream, he just got the words Crimson and Clover, wakes up and says, I don't know what it means, but I got to write a song about it. And that became the song. But she really didn't do much to change up the arrangement of the song. It's basically almost note for note, but again, with her voice. If you're going to do a cover, I'd like to see.
Crimson and Clover, though, the way she comes in the beginning, oh man, it's beautiful. And that's the thing, that's the range in her voice, because she sings punk, like rock or whatever. And then, but on that song, I didn't realize how beautiful her voice was until I heard that song again. Like at the beginning of Crimson and Clover, she's got a really nice voice and she has range.
I guess. I mean, listen.
I guess. What are you talking about? She sounds amazing in that.
No,
you don't like the song itself, but she does a great job. She does a great job in that song. She sounds great up top. I love it. It's a nice build.
For me, I mean, if you're going to look at a song and you're going to look at voice, is one of her originals. I like "Victim of Circumstance" better. I think
you can like a song better, but I'm just saying that's an amazing arrangement. That's all.
But even the way she sang, now I don't think the arrangement is all that great. They didn't change anything from the original.
It doesn't matter to me. You don't have to change it. I mean, to me, I think that's what I like sometimes is when somebody does a cover and they don't try to switch it all up, because that's the true honor of the cover. It's like you're giving tribute to the song. Like when you're just adding all this other shit to it, it's like sometimes it's like, okay, you're just basically taking something and running, which is fine, but I like kind of a tribute to a song sometimes. That's all.
Did you ever hear the original version of Diamonds and Rust, Joan Baez, and then hear the metal version by Judas Priest, Diamonds and Rust. To me, that is one of the best covers, and also the Johnny Cash, 9 Inch Nails cover. We've talked about my favorite cover of all time. But
Adam, let's bring in Adam. We need some other eyes on this. What's up, Adam? How you doing, buddy?
How's your guys? How's it going? It was pretty good. It was nice. It was low key.
I like low key. So what's your take on this whole Joan Jett stuff? You like her? You like this album? What's going on?
I kind of echoing what you guys were saying too with all the covers. At first, I was a bit turned off by it, but as I listened to it more and more, it started to grow on me. And it's a really gritty album too. And I was listening, back, and I put on the Arrows version of I Love Rock and Roll, and I prefer Joan Jett's version so much more, and I think it is like that, just that grittier
voice, man. She's got a and like badass rock and roll voice, man.
I mean, she's a complete badass.
She's such a badass. She's done so much for rock and punk. Like, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And those tight pants and that eyeliner, and like she nailed it. And that's the thing too.
She looks like Joyce DeWitt.
She what?
She looks like Joyce DeWitt.
Joyce DeWitt.
Yeah, the other one from Three's Company, not Suzanne Somers.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. A little hotter though, I think, because she can play guitar. Because I'm like a chick like that. When a chick's talented, I'm more attracted to her.
Right.
But that's how girls are with guys. But it's the only way I can get a girlfriend. They see me on stage and like, okay, he's all right. He's kind of goofy looking, but he can tell jokes. But but that's the thing. She brought this sexuality. And men were bringing it for years. I don't know if you saw the documentary on Hulu. It's really phenomenal, like about her story from the runaways and all that stuff. But there's just the fact that Mick Jagger could do all these things, and women weren't able to kind of be presented, like, marketing wise. A lot of people shut her down because they weren't ready for a woman being that sexual and playing guitar and all that stuff. So between her and Lita Ford, and it's certain people were able to kind of get away with it, but she definitely had a lot of backlash. But I loved it as a kid. Like, it's just, that's a kind of I dated about 10 of these type of girls. So,
that explains a lot.
My heart was broken by a lot of girls that look like this in high school. So that was what I went for. I went for the girl with the leather and the chains and the high, the heavy eyeliner. So, but she's fantastic.
There's also a couple of the other choices of covers. Again, I like the Dave Clark 5, but I hate the song Bits and Pieces. It's the only thing I like about that song is I like the drums. Who is it? Lee Crystal. That's the drummer. And now the drummer is Tommy Price. But he it's a very drum oriented song. So that kind of stood out to me. And I like the version of Little Drummer Boy, but does it have to be on a regular album? That should have been like a B-side release. I don't know. And then in reissues in '92, the reissue, there's a bonus track of Louie Louie. In '98 reissue, a bonus track of Summertime Blues. Yeah, it's like, it's a lot of covers on it, and I kind of like the original songs better.
Yeah, I think so. I think, the problem is like, I think she had a hard time breaking through. And I think sometimes bands, and producers have to kind of they have to do some hits that are kind of more tried and true, that are gonna work. And with somebody that's this gritty, I think you have to pop it out. You have to do a song that's perfect arrangement. And I don't know, I think that's what it was. I think that was the genius behind this particular album, because they did it themselves. They couldn't get anybody to jump on board until later, and then it got picked up. But it's like, I think that was part of it. It's like, what do you do with this person? Because the album before it was great, but nobody was jumping on it. I mean, it was Bad Reputation was a good song and everything, but nobody she wasn't the star that she became off but that one song changed everything. If she hadn't done that cover, I don't think her career would have been the same. She would have been maybe this kind of gritty underground kind of musician, but I don't think it would have been the same. She wouldn't have had the icon status for sure. So that choice was good. It worked. And I think that was a producer choice.
I think what choice I think it is, I think it was an A&R choice. You remember what the first show that we did Van Halen 1, and the band was all upset that they had to do a cover of You Really Got Me. They didn't want that being the number one single, which came out just a couple of years earlier. But yeah, I think especially back in the 80s, that's when I worked for CBS. That was my first job out of college. I worked for CBS Records in the A&R department. And it was always about, how can we market this? How can we sell, really, the quality of the music, but you had to have a hit to push the album. And since this was the second album, I get it that you had to put a couple of covers on it. I guess my problem is the amount of covers and the choice of covers is and then change up the arrangement a little bit.
Yeah, I also, it was also, the 80s and cocaine and who knows what was going on.
It always comes down to 80s and cocaine.
There's a lot of albums that the 80s made it weird, It's like, I think
it was COVID. That's what it was.
Well, that's my album. My album is because of COVID. So people will say that one day. They'll say because of COVID, that's why he did what he did.
That's
but
right.
no, I think
Zoom
it's
album, everybody.
It's a different time. Music was different, man. As each genre of music, each era of music was different. I think, I don't know. I think there is definitely a lot of covers. There really is no need for Little Drummer Boy, but it is great. So, I guess people
when they did.
You know what the problem with this album was?
What's the problem?
There was no.
So how short it is?
Excuse me.
How short it is? It's barely 30 minutes.
A lot of records are short. I mean, some of Abbey Road is 37 minutes. It's a lot of
7 more minutes. It's almost 25% more.
Okay, well, I was going to go somewhere else, but we can do that if you want. But yeah, that's the thing is it doesn't. You know why? You know why? Let me explain to you why. Because they were on records, Jeff, and records don't hold that much.
Oh, okay.
So you see these little lines? They can only hold so much content. Only so much content. So, but I think the problem with this album, with what the complaints that you have, is that it was an independent, produced album, and because they couldn't get it on a big label. And so I think whenever there's like independent, it's me. Let's say me and you are doing an album. There's nobody coming in saying you guys shouldn't do that cover because they're just doing it themselves. So there was no big Columbia, big A&M. There was, no big
Who
company.
Who distributed that album?
They distributed themselves.
Yeah.
It was Boardwalk Entertainment. It was his manager. Her manager did it. So, they did it themselves. So I think when you do something yourself, sometimes it's, you got nobody saying no to you. You got somebody saying, hey, you should do it this way. And I think that was part of the problem. They didn't have a lot of suits coming in and making choices.
What were some of your favorite songs on this album besides the covers? And there's not a lot to choose from, by the way. But if you had to pick,
what are the ones that aren't covers? How about that?
The one or two that aren't covers. What did you like?
Is Nag's not a cover, right? That's
Nag's a cover.
That's a cover.
Is it a cover? Okay,
yeah.
Jesus.
Nag's a great song.
You're Too Possessive. Is that a cover? No. That's not.
Oh,
bad.
actually, it is. It is. It's an old Runaways. She wrote it, but it's an old Runaways song.
Well, it's not a cover if she wrote it. Yeah,
but it's not her band. It's not. Okay. It's not the Blackhearts. It's the Runaways song.
Yeah, but the band was put together for her. They put the band behind her. It wasn't like that's not. She's the star, and they basically were like, we need 3 dudes because we can't have women anymore. And so they found these guys in LA to be her backup band. They're technically her backup band. It's not a band that started together. Like it's all about Joan in this.
But the song had already come out before.
Okay. All right. I mean, I Love Rock and Roll is I'm sentimental to it. Even I know it's a cover, but it's kind of one of those songs that, is Be Straight. How about that? Is that a cover?
No, but she didn't. It was really written by Greg Kihn.
Okay.
Remember they break up.
Well, then I like the covers better, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. I love how you try to set me up and not flow with me, but that's fine. I don't know.
No, stop. Let's go back to Be Straight, because when you hear this song, the first thing that came to my mind was, you remember that song, Who Do You Love? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. George, that song, the beginning of it is those notes and those chords. It is that song. But then it does go into a good old timey rock and roll song, and that's why I like. I like her big choruses. That's why I think my favorite song again is "Victim of Circumstance." I think this is that's a great song. I love the chorus on it. It's I don't give a shit type of rock and roll song. Like the opening lyrics, the police were waiting when the sun came up. I love that. That to me. I wish there was more of that on the album.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the next album, which didn't do well, had less covers on it, and this is just what it is. This is the album that launched her. So there's definitely some things that maybe you would have done better just because she was great. But she's done so much for the music business. I mean, I don't know if you saw her when she fronted for Nirvana when they I teared up when I saw that.
That was great.
I teared up when I saw that. I mean, It's like, she embodied, nobody else could have done that and pulled it off, because it would have been this thing where it was like, look at this guy trying to be Kurt or whatever. Like, she really embraced that in a way that I don't think anybody could have. And then the next year she got, and the standing ovation that she got was longer than I've seen on anybody that's been inducted. Like, it was a phenomenal, what she's done for rock and women and stuff, and then what she's done for the punk scene. Like, she produced the Germs and some of these great bands that wouldn't have probably got attention is because of her, and she kind of went into the whole punk scene in LA and stuff. And so when somebody does that, I don't really go hard on the fact they did maybe 3 more covers than they should have, because they're such a staple of rock and roll. And what they are is like, people are going to make some misses. Like I was saying, listen to the first 2 Rolling Stone albums. They're all covers, in my opinion. It's all blues, Delta blues shit. And then they find their rhythm.
Same thing about Zeppelin.
Yes, mostly Zeppelin. I mean, let's be honest. But it's, but it's still great music.
Of course.
It still changed everything. And so I feel like it's kind of one of those things where I don't go too hard on her, because, it's a part of my childhood, which I hold on dearly. I was a kid. I was let's just say puberty was happening when Joan Jett came around. And so there's a lot of things that are attached to her. But yeah, I know what you're saying. As a true music guy, you're going to say there were covers that maybe shouldn't have been on there and stuff. But I think as an album as a whole, it's a fun listen. And her as a front person and as a musical icon, I think, she's very important in the conversation of rock, and especially female rock. And the fact that, there's still not a lot of female rock singers. Like, there's not a lot of African-American, rock bands, and things like that. There's still so much more that we need in diversity. Like this show, I call it the old white guy, hour, because it's usually a lot of old white guys we're talking about. Last week we had a black dude. This week we got a woman. So I'm feeling some progress on the show. I feel like we're going somewhere.
We're just talking about music, but that's okay. That's fine.
It's huge.
I didn't know this was the Mitch McConnell hour.
Mitch McConnell hour. It's it's not that
old white guys. That's
oh, I see.
That's what people thinking. Yeah, we don't want them to think that.
No, but it's a lot of old white English guys. How about English? A lot of old English guys, because they,
Yeah,
but
we're cool guys.
Yeah, English is different. Let's not. But yeah. So anyway, I'm forgiving of artists that change, the scene, and when it comes to like their albums and stuff. Like that's how when I see music, I don't know. I don't go in with that negative thing on certain, people when I know what they did as a whole. I don't know if you look at music that way. That's how I do. Like if you look at the Beatles, Ringo is horrible, but he doesn't sum up the Beatles. And so, but when I look at the Beatles as a whole, it's like he adds something that maybe they loved being with him.
Underrated drummer. Great. Listen, the Beatles
I don't know about underrated. They
didn't need a drummer like Neil Peart. They didn't have a ton of fills, but they
would have had a different sound. I mean, they were all guitar, that band, but if they had a different drummer, maybe it would have been a full band.
And the Beatles was all in the songwriting, man. It's
songwriting, all in the guitar too. There was some great music, some great melodies. Are you kidding me? It was all in the melodies and the songwriting.
And you can have all the arrangements in there too.
You have all the good lyrics you want without good melody.
I'm talking about the arrangements too. When you look at a song like Strawberry Fields, Fool on the Hill, the arrangements of those songs. When you hear, did you ever get the box set of the demos of the Beatles stuff? Remember they came out with like two different versions. There would be a different version of these songs, just like stripped down.
Probably, I have a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
What I was saying, look, I'm not here to shit on Ringo. What I'm saying is, it's like sometimes there's people that maybe don't contribute as much to the music or whatever, or maybe they do in your opinion, maybe not in mine. Who cares? I'm just saying we can all look at things differently. I was saying it kind of theoretically, like you could look at something and see like, that guy's not that talented or whatever. How about this? Adam Clayton couldn't play the bass at all for you two. He couldn't play at all. They literally had to teach him how to play the bass. And so it's a band that, like, I'm just saying there's always an Adam Clayton. And I think Ringo is that of the Beatles.
Okay. I wanted to make a point about what you said about Joan Jett and with a standing ovation. I think the reason why maybe it's also the same reason why I like Joan Jett is I like her because I think she's just authentic. I don't think there's what you see, I think, is 1,000% her. I don't think she pretends to be a rock star. Yeah. She is the rock star. She
absolutely
is pretty. And that's what I love about her. There are two songs on the album that I think were very vulnerable songs. The second and third tracks, I Can't Take It and Love Is Pain. And she must have, again, two original tracks. And I think she must have been going through something because even though these are good rock and roll upbeat songs, the lyrics kind of tell a different story because like I Can't Take It is a straight up breakup song. Like she's like, the beginning of the song is I can't take it. This is silly, and she's talking about ending a relationship, and Love Is Pain is, and the chorus on this song was great. We are not to blame and we'll do it again. So something I think must have been going on in her life during this, where she was in a relationship and someone fucked her over, and she took it out on these two songs, which are both really great rock and roll songs.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think, like you said, she, embodies what rock is. And she also, even in Crimson and Clover, it's like, she says, will I love her or whatever. She changes it to her, and like she's a woman and she's saying to her. And I think that helped a lot of, women that might be discovering themselves if they, what their sexuality was. So I think, and now, and she's an out lesbian and she loves women. And it's like, she was pretty early on, pretty honest about that. And I think that helps. It helps a lot of people.
I think without Joan Jett, you don't get other artists like what's her name, Melissa Etheridge and Sophie B. Hawkins. Great Linda Perry. From Four Non-Blondes, who wound up writing songs for everybody. These were out lesbians who are great performers, great songwriters, and I think they all go back. If you could do like what's that's Degrees of Kevin Bacon game.
Yeah.
It all goes back to Joan Jett.
Absolutely. Adam, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, we got some questions from the audience.
Yes.
So first, let's see. One of the viewers wants to know, I wonder how much they had to pay for rights to cover a song back then.
It depends on how long the song has been out. Then it becomes public dominion.
Okay. There's that. And also I think her manager, who was, in the music industry and wrote songs and stuff, it's like a lot of times those people have deals, with records that they put on. Maybe it's like if he had a contract with a label, that maybe one of those songs was on, things like that happen as well. But we could look that up. That seems, maybe Adam, look it up, how that works. What else? Anything else?
Yeah. From Mac Dave, he asks, if you guys put out a music album, what kind of songs would you cover?
Interesting. What would I cover?
Specific songs or era or type of songs?
Just what kind of songs?
Yeah, probably specific songs.
I mean, I like blues, so I would probably just, do something like that. But I don't know. I'm trying to see.
I'd do some 80s stuff.
I think I'd redo the whole Thriller album.
I was gonna stay in that era, but I was gonna go more Duran Duran.
You gonna do Duran Duran? Yeah, I would do the whole Thriller album. I would do something that's very successful. Just see how bad I could fuck it up.
Instead of the lead on Beat It, he'd do a harmonica solo. It'll sound like.
Sometimes
Bob
I like
Dylan.
that. I've seen some. I actually do like it when they mix genres completely.
Me too.
And there's a band that did 99 Problems, but a Bitch Ain't One, and it's a kind of a jug band, and it's fantastic. I don't know who does that, but they're really good.
When covers, this goes back to my original point. When bands do covers, they do an original take on it. That is what I love, and like a jug band version of a Jay-Z song.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
No, but I hear what you're saying. But Joan Jett, being a woman, being the lead guitarist of the band, like it's still going to sound different than the Arrows. And so she owned it. It's definitely her song. She
she
made
definitely
it
owned it. You're 100% right about that.
So I think she did a good job. What else, Adam? Anybody else?
We know that I Love Rock and Roll was originally released as a B-side to another cover. It was a Leslie Gore song, You Don't Own Me.
Oh, it's a great
the
song.
A-side.
You know who else was a great like artist that had to stay in the closet for years? Were you a fan of Dusty Springfield?
Yeah, not a fan, but
I loved her. She was a phenomenal singer.
What else, Adam?
Let's see. We got Jay Dies a Lot says Thriller top to bottom, videos too with horrible dancing.
Not unless you put me in the video. Right. And now you got some phenomenal dancing.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're gonna have to have the dance off. We're gonna
right. You're gonna have to make that video, Dustin.
No. We're gonna do it live on the air. There's no video. Adam's gonna beatbox, and we're just gonna go in, buddy. And we're gonna see what you got. We're gonna see what you got on. It's like we'll do some, broken.
Listen, a lot better than that. I don't know.
So am I. I'm playing. You're not phenomenal though. You're just, you put it in your head. I'm gonna start giving some shoulder rolls. All right. The robot. I can do the robot. All right, for our viewers out there, Jeff said he's a phenomenal dancer, and so we're gonna have a dance off one day. We're gonna put all the money to charity. All right, any more great questions from our fans? Thank you guys for chiming in. We really love that. So please keep it coming because we get tired of talking. So we like it when people can kind of interject because I want this show to be about all of us kind of, talking about music and learning stuff and that kind of thing. Anything else?
What else? We had Mercury Bechtiver said, did he just throw some Ringo shade from earlier?
I did a little, and I'm sorry if that pissed you off, but because I'm the only one that threw a little Ringo shade. He's doing way better than me, and he married a beautiful woman, and he's in one of the greatest bands of all time. But I wouldn't put him up there as an amazing drummer. I would put him up there as in an amazing band. But I would say that George Harrison is an amazing guitarist. And I would say that, Paul McCartney is an amazing guitarist, singer. I would say those people are amazing. I wouldn't put him in the same category. I wouldn't put him in the same category. Bass player, that's what I mean. But I wouldn't put him in the same category. I feel like he's definitely, the odd man out. But I do like Yellow Submarine. If you do a lot of drugs, that's a great, fun song.
And I think Ringo
and Caveman is a great movie if you hadn't seen it.
Oh, it's not a great movie. Stop.
That's the joke. That's why I'm a comedian, Jeff. That's a joke. We know it's not a great movie.
Okay. You're a great actor because I was like,
they don't say one word during the whole thing.
That's right.
The dinosaurs are good though.
Oh God,
that's what I'm getting at. That's why I'm throwing shade at Ringo. Are you with me?
Yeah, on that one, I definitely am.
Nobody else made a movie but him. In my opinion.
But I think also Ringo may have
except the Beatles movies.
Yeah, I think Ringo had the most number one singles out of all the Beatles
because he was the only one that kept going.
That's not true.
He had more singles than Harrison.
Number ones.
Yeah.
Remember, he had that whole thing. He had songs like "Photograph" and
and let me guess, 80s.
That was 70s.
Oh, hey.
70s.
Hey, every dog has his day, but I'm still not going to put him up with the others. I'm still not going to put him in the same Mount Rushmore. That's just my opinion. I'm not a drummer expert. That's just my instinct. Like you said, this album had too many covers. Like we all have our opinions. That's all.
Yeah, I'm right on that though. There are too many.
But I think it did pretty well. It was the best-selling album she ever had. So they did. So it wasn't
10 million copies. Yeah, they did really well. Yeah, like you said originally. Without this album, she may have been like some obscure underground.
So it worked. It's not about. I mean,
Definitely.
whether it's right or wrong, it worked. And so sometimes it's about things working in music. It's not necessarily about being, the best thing on the album.
I'm just being a little nitpicky too. I mean, I own I had the album. I had the cassette. I had the
you had the 8-track.
I had the 8-track. Yes, I was there. I had the original one by the Arrows.
Nice. Adam, anything else?
Yeah, we have Mac Dave asking, did Joan Jett receive any backlash for the cover album? And he says, I'm thinking similar to Metallica sounding more popular with their Black album.
No, she came out with a cover album. And that album was a great album. A lot of her hits were covers. Like Light of Day was a song that was written by Bruce Springsteen, which was another one of her big hits. She was, some artists are just great at covers, and on her cover album, she does a different spin on some of these songs.
It's interesting though, let's just, the fact that musicians can get away with covers, and I think the beginning of time it's been covers. I mean, Elvis, All Right Mama, and Hound Dog, and rock and roll started off with covers, but I feel like, I don't know, it is kind of an interesting thing where it's kind of like, it's like in stand-up comedy, we can't do covers. Like I can't just do a George Carlin track, I can't, I mean, a lot of comics do that, and we know a few of them, but I feel like it is interesting, the concept of like, does everything have to be original? How do people feel about covers? Like, can you ask that question? Is it cheating? All
right, Dustin, check this out. I now remember the album. It was called The Hit List. I remember these songs. Listen to the songs that she covered. She did Dirty Deeds, the AC/DC song, which was great.
Love that song.
She did Love Hurts by Nazareth, which, right?
Solid.
Great. She did Sex Pistols, Pretty Vacant. She does the Kinks, Celluloid Heroes. This was the best one of it. She did Creedence's song, Have You Ever Seen the Rain?
Good song.
I mean, yeah, this was a really, really good album. And this came out in 1990. And I remember getting this album. Remember, you'd send a penny away and you get like CDs.
Columbia Records, yeah.
Columbia Records. I got that from Columbia Records. Right. So that was one of the records I got.
No, it's great. We figured out a scam. I worked in a mailroom and I had like 15 different names and aliases going. And they were
nice.
So I was just getting boxes of CDs. I had a whole like ring operation going on. Adam, anybody come back at us?
Let's see. Not yet, but
okay.
Aspin Friendo says, I'm with you. Ringo sucks.
Thank you. I'm going to send you some free merch. Thank you, buddy. Ringo does suck. See, they know me. All right. So anything else on the album before we get to Adam's wonderful segment?
I mean, listen, overall, it's a fine album. There were songs I'm glad I went back to rediscover. Like, again, for me, Victim of Changes is a song I'll keep listening to. I love it. Victim of Change, Victim of Circumstance. And it's a good album. Like, I don't want to shit on Joan Jett. I was looking forward to seeing her this past summer. She was going to be part of that stadium tour with Def Leppard and Motley Crue and Poison and her. I mean, like, God, man, I couldn't wait for that. Have any of you guys ever seen Joan Jett? By the way?
I've never seen her live. No.
I saw her a couple of times. I remember seeing her at
How was she live?
She was great live. I saw her. Yeah. She headlined a show at Radio City Music Hall that the label got me tickets to. I remember having great seats. I went with this unbelievably hot chick, and it was Joan Jett, Kool and the Gang, and Darling Love.
Wow, we're old. The viewers are like, what? Who? Kool and the what?
Oh, come on, stop. You can't, Kool and the Gang is the shit. I love the Kool and the Gang.
They got 2 good songs. Talented band. And my God, are they talented? But I feel like they got 2 big hits. You know, what is it? Jungle Boogie and Celebration. Do they have another hit?
Yeah, of course they do. They had Tonight, which was a big hit.
You know, like those sappy ones.
No, that was a coming of age song.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. That was who's it? JT. That was the guy in that band. Oh man, he was great.
All right, Adam, let's hit it with some new stuff. Tired of this old stuff. Educate us to something in this era. What do we got?
All right. Well, since we're talking about covers,
here we go.
First, there's
you can't get away from it tonight.
Well, no, this isn't out on vinyl. This I just found this a week ago. There's an artist. She's an Irish artist, Rosie Carney, who just put out an entire album covering Radiohead's The Bends. It's all acoustic. She's an Irish artist. It's absolutely incredible. It's
hot piss.
It's worth the stream.
I like Radiohead. Yeah,
they're amazing.
They are. It's like, I mean, that's his era. Like, come on, man, don't shit on his era. This old man. Like, that's his music that changed his life.
Listen, I tried with Radiohead, and there's a couple.
Great. It's like, I mean, I'd rather have, be making out with a chick when I listen to it, but it's definitely, and you need some good herb and some good situation. Like, it's definitely, you don't get ramped up by it, but it's good music, man. Their Rhinestone Cowboy is sexy. Speaking of covers, that's a sexy cover. It's so good. I love it.
The Glenn Campbell song?
Yeah. They do a cover. It's weird. I had a thing where since, I would go through all these different covers of Rhinestone. There's actually quite a few of them. And that's one of my favorites. It's really good.
Hey, you know what I just heard the other day that I haven't heard in a long time? Speaking of Glenn Campbell, did you like the song Wichita Lineman? Absolutely.
That's his first big hit.
What a phenomenal song.
Yeah, it's good. He was a session musician and stuff. So it was great. All right. What else, Adam?
Oh, we got a comment from Mad Dab and says skating rink music. So
that's a great comment.
Jeff being a phenomenal dancer, also a phenomenal roller skater.
I did do my share of roller skating.
No, you did with the tight Joe-ass jeans, just like skating backwards.
I went to roller disco.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
That's the name of the shit.
Either that or going to keggers in the woods.
Roller rink music. That's exactly what our life is here.
Radiohead. Yeah.
Stop shitting on great bands. We don't do that on this show. We embrace. We're about love, man. We love all music except Ringo. All right, what else you got?
Right. There's let's see. There's not really much coming out just because it's New Year's on Friday.
Okay.
But we got a band, the Dirty Nil, that has their album Fuck Art that's coming out. Ooh. And they're kind of, I just started listening to them a little while ago. They're kind of like a cross between Weezer and maybe the Menzingers. It's really, really, really interesting rock.
Okay. What is it? What's the name?
It's like an alt rock 90s sound, the Dirty Nil.
The Dirty Nil. I'll check that out.
Yes, they have a brand new one out January 1st. Some vinyls. We got, these are 2 really opposite albums too. One's from 98, the other from 2000. We got the Dandy Warhol's 13 Tales from Urban Bohemia double LP coming out. So we got a little bit alt rock, kind of power pop. And then we got a darker album, Massive Attack Mezzanine from 98, double LP that's coming out, both reissues.
Oh, cool.
But besides that, there's not really.
Can you tell me who those bands are? Because I have no idea.
So the Dandy Warhols, they're kind of poppy. They're definitely fit into the whole late or mid to late 90s alt rock scene.
Okay.
They had the song off of this album is Bohemian Like Me, which is a really good song. Massive Attack is a trip hop kind of electronica like Portishead and
Portishead I like.
Yeah. So I just started listening to this album today, actually, Mezzanine. It's really good, really dark.
Oh, cool. Did you go to like electronica concerts, raves and stuff? Adam, do you do that stuff?
I never really got into it until I went to a couple of clubs in the city in the late 90s, but never really, I really get into that scene though.
You put like a panda head on and then just tripped for like 3 days.
Yeah.
How about you, Jeff? I feel like you just like crashed the party. Like, I got X. What's up, kids?
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm not into Portishead.
No?
I'm not a big no.
What was the big one when we were
I,
kids? Wasn't Portishead? It was Can Dance. I forget what it's called. But you don't like that kind of music?
What was the song?
It's something
like dance music.
Yeah, but it was something. I forget what it was called. I'll have to find it.
If I went to like a dance club, and like we got to remember where
Susie and the Banshees. You like that stuff?
Fucking love that.
Yeah.
That was
Similar.
like music. I would go out to Long Island and there was like, new wave dance clubs. So it was like you would dance to The Cure, you would dance to Susie and the Banshees. I mean, I love that stuff. But in Staten Island and especially Brooklyn, it was all like, discos. Like, it was like hardcore, like Gloria Gaynor, Patrick Hernandez.
Yeah, I just saw did you guys see the Bee Gees documentary? That was really good, actually.
Yeah.
It was on HBO.
I want to check that out.
Yeah.
You saw it, Jeff?
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. It was great. And, just like, I feel like they kind of got the shaft with that, kind of, like, they're really talented and they kind of got caught up in the whole 70s sparkly, whatever. And then I feel like they were more talented than people gave them credit for. It's like,
They were phenomenal.
Yeah.
I got I remember one time I was working a Grammy show and it was at Madison Square Garden. And I had to take an elevator down, and Barry Gibb was in the elevator. And,
nice.
it was a service elevator. That's where the artists would go. And he was a big star, and his security guy was like, "Yeah, hey, Barry's on here." And Barry's like, "No problem. Come on." So it was me and Barry, and we took an elevator ride down and we talked, and he couldn't have been more of a gentleman and a great dude. And he was always one of my idols, like I loved the Bee Gees. I don't think anyone harmonized better than they did.
Nah,
and
they were great.
I watched it with my wife, and she was like, she didn't realize how important to the group that Robin was.
Oh yeah. But they're great. I mean, do you disagree with that whole like, kind of movement against disco music? Like everybody was like breaking records and like that whole thing.
No, not at all. Because some of it was good. Some of it was really good. As I like all music as long as it's good music, and different music for different things.
There's definitely some bad disco, but
of course, and there's also bad metal. There's bad pop, but if you're gonna hang out with girls and you're gonna go dancing, you're not gonna put on Paranoid, and I love Sabbath, but you're right. I mean, you're gonna sit there, you're gonna put on Paranoid when it's 32 degrees and you're hanging out in the woods with your friends and everyone's holding a red Solo cup and smoking weed and drinking beers and it's only guys, and then somewhere around 12 o'clock, you're
once in a while
you'll start driving around and looking for girls.
Once in a while, you'll find a tattooed chick that'll dance to Paranoid. You know what I mean? Once in a while, you'll find that.
Yeah, once in a while.
And that's the chick. Yeah, that's the chick you marry. All right, guys. This is the chick. This is the chick you marry. If you get a chance, Hulu is running a documentary on Joan Jett, and it is fantastic. It talks about the whole story of the Runaways and her manager and how they changed her sound and all the covers. It kind of taps into that. But this album is great. Get you this copy, even though the covers, it's still great. Crimson and Clover, I love. I don't know why Jeff hates it. I think it's one of the faves.
You don't like the original.
Yeah, well, that's okay. And Ringo sucks, but we love you guys, and thank you for tuning in. And tell your friends about us. And if you have some questions, go to our Facebook page and send us some messages on albums you'd like us to cover. And keep vinyl alive. Go to the record stores if you can. Put on a mask and sift through vinyl because they really need you right now. And so that's the show. Thank you, guys. Have a happy New Year, everybody. 2021.
Happy New Year.
We're going to rock it out. 2021. Come on now.